And a use of force expert has testified at the trial of the former Minneapolis policeman Derek Chauvin in last year's arrest and his subsequent death of George Floyd. The Floyd's drug use history also came under scrutiny. Jody Steiger, a Los Angeles Police Department sergeant, served as a prosecution witness. He testified that no force should have been used after Floyd was handcuffed. Derek Chauvin had his knee on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds, while the black man was lying face down with his hands cuffed behind him in the back. The Steiger further said that based on his review of the video evidence, Chauvin knelt on Floyd's neck, or the neck area, from the time the officer had put Floyd on the ground until the paramedics arrived, and it was reasonable for Chauvin to believe that the paramedics would be there soon. He also told the court that Floyd posed no threat to the officers once he was down on the ground.
So I'd like you to focus then on the second factor, that is whether Mr. Floyd posed an immediate threat to the safety of the officers or others at the time during the restraint period.
No, he did not.
And why not?
Because he was in the prone position, he was handcuffed, he was not attempting to resist, he was not attempting to assault the officers, kick, punch, or anything of that nature.
Now, a portion of the video has, of course, come into question with Floyd's exact comments possibly regarding drugs. Now, James Reyerson, a senior special agent for the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, also testified. And when he was asked if he heard Floyd say, "I ate too many drugs," Reyerson said that he did not. And instead, he thought it sounded like as if Floyd said, "I ain't do no drugs."
I believe Mr. Floyd was saying, "I ain't do no drugs."
And also the remnants of the pills that were found in the back of the squad car were also tested and were found to contain a certain drug. Now, forensic scientist Brianna Giles has testified that pills that were found in Floyd's car did indeed contain this certain drug. Now, earlier testimony revealed that one of those pills contained DNA from Floyd's saliva. Now, outside forensic chemist Susan Smith, who also tested the tablet, said that the pill found in the squad car, which contained Floyd's DNA, had fentanyl with purity of less than 1%, besides another drug, which he said is pretty common in street drugs. Now, Derek Chauvin is accused of killing the 46-year-old George Floyd by kneeling on his neck. Derek Chauvin has been charged with second-degree murder and also third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter in the case of George Floyd's death. The most serious charge against the now-fired officer carries up to 40 years in prison.
Mr. Nelson, do you wish to open at this time?
So this, of course, is a crucial trial that is presently underway in the United States. And Kate, if I can bring you in on this, how is the trial progressing? Because now a lot of witnesses are now being examined to see whether the police officer in this case went on to use excessive force.
Yeah, that's right. We've heard now from multiple witnesses who have testified to say that they do believe the force used by Derek Chauvin was excessive, including the clip you just heard there from from Sergeant Jody Steiger, who works with the Los Angeles Police Department Inspector General's office. And he said that looking at the video, that quite simply that it was deadly force was being used when in fact no force was necessary at all, because as you heard in that clip, Mr. Floyd was not resisting arrest any longer. He had been handcuffed. He was not posing a threat or a danger to the police officers around. And so this this person testifying in court was saying quite simply the force that was being used for that 9 minutes and 29 seconds was not needed. It was excessive. Mr. Floyd was already complying with the police by that point. So this is just another of these witnesses, expert witnesses who have testified to essentially the same thing, saying that in their expert opinions, the length of time that Mr. Chauvin was applying a lot of force to George Floyd's body was simply far longer than necessary and also goes against police training and ethics.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.